This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Danilo's free, and it goes to Gibbs wide.
First time we've seen them attack them, and there's Brandon! Well, that's what I wanted to see Robinson do. Taylor one, he scores! And the City ground goes ballistic! Here's Bob Williams. He's through here! And in the end, Forrest will say it doesn't matter how you play as long as you win it. Yeah!
Hello, welcome back to the Red Side of the Trent for this episode where we are going to discuss the 1-0 defeat to Everton last night. Joined as usual by Christian Brown and Reiss Lane. No Lee Clark, it seems the booze has got the better of him. I do apologise in advance for my croaky voice. Plenty of shouting, coming back off an illness and everything else. But let's get straight into it, guys, because it's never good doing another defeat. Three on the bounce, that is now. I just wanted to get initial thoughts from you both. Reiss, we'll start with you. What was your thoughts coming out of the ground after it, really? I kind of want to get a raw response from you.
We're going to start at the top.
Yeah, bugger it.
What was my feeling? Probably just, I mean, anger for the first because of I was somebody amongst a cluster of other people who helped out with the display. Put a lot of time and effort into it, as the guys from Forza, a lot more than me. For the club to not play Mullock in time, not sure what's happened there, and it kind of took the effect, and it set the tone for the night. When that happened, my heart just sank, and I just thought this is going to be one of them nights. And we soon saw, probably after about 10 minutes, when Everton got a foothold in the game and started knocking us about, I'd say a bit that we wasn't up for the fight last night. So my overriding feeling coming out of the ground was probably anger at that, disappointment with the performance, but there was no disappointment in terms of the result for me because they fully deserved to win Everton, in my opinion.
Christian?
Yeah, much like Reiss, and just anger, really. I should probably also apologise for my voice being the way it is. I can imagine a lot of shouting. Yeah, just anger, a lot of frustration. I mean, I completely empathise with Reiss and the people like the Forza crew who obviously put a lot of time and effort into making that display, only to be shut off like that. It's just stupid. It's like I saw someone say, like, can you imagine if a DJ at Anfield forgot to play "You'll Never Walk Alone"? Like, imagine what happens then. No, it was it's very comparable to us because that is our song. Or if the guy at Leeds doesn't play Marching On Together, for example, it's just like it's part of our match day routine. It's part of our culture. It's part of our identity. So to not have that, I agree with Reiss, set the tone for the night. It was embarrassing. The performance was embarrassing. It was the worst we've played since that away day at Stoke, which I was also at. And yeah, it's just unacceptable, really. My overriding feeling, I mean, obviously, like, I honestly thought by the time I got back to Kent, I'd look at my phone and see like club statement as a notification. I genuinely believe that would be the case. And to be honest, had that been the case, I don't think many people could have argued against it.
Yeah, I mean, I was so bitterly disappointed. One, because I was excited to see what the display was. Obviously, me and Reiss, we had pre-match together, and I didn't even ask you what it was going to be about. I had an indication because of what Forza released pre-match, and it looked so good. But like the problem was the cards normally say hold this up during McIntyre, and it didn't even come, and it was just like, well, the game's kicked off.
I must add, to be fair to the Trent Enders Forza put out, they did persevere, and they kind of did hold them up when they realised that McIntyre wasn't going to play because we kicked off. But yeah, it's just such a shame. It really was. And as me and Christian have just alluded to, it just set the tone for the night, to be honest.
Definitely. So the start of the game, I mean, we had several changes actually, didn't we? So Aurier, Bolly come back in. Yates was captain for the night. And Sangare's come back in, Reiss, as well. So like before the game, we were saying like that's quite a decent team. Happy to see Sangare back. We've kind of matched them in midfield in a way, and we've kind of probably we should kind of overpower them almost in terms of physicality. but that didn't seem to be the case. But what was your initial thoughts when you seen the lineups come out?
I was happy Ryan Yates was back in the team because I thought it was the ideal game for him, which didn't happen. Serge Aurier is someone who I put in my top 3 players of the season last season. This season, I don't think he's been quite at it. I thought he was poor. Sangare, I thought actually did okay. I mean, there's a few conflicting views I've seen on social media, but I actually thought he did all right to say he's had a virus all week and that's why he come off after, I think it was an hour, wasn't it? Chris Wood, I mean, yeah, that not for me starting him. I thought that played into Everton's hands because we didn't put in one good cross all night. I thought Wood was terrible and he didn't use his body. I didn't think he won a header all night against Tarkowski and Branthwaite, and it just played into Everton's hands. And so that was the wrong selection. For me, I'd have just literally gone with a Gibbs White and a Folstein last night, Hudson-Odoi and Elanga to the one and just hit them with pace because that's what the worry was. You know, you've seen it, I think, after probably quarter of an hour. Elanga runs at Ashley Young, gets him behind him, he gets fouled. And what did we do? We didn't do it again all night. So we deserved all we got last night, as frustrating as it is.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Christian, I really struggled to see what our game plan was, what our ideas were. It seemed like Everton obviously know, and every single person knows who's now watched Forest how good Murillo is bringing the ball out from the back. So for me, how have we not worked on a strategy for when teams are going to basically stop that from happening, and then you've got to give the other centre half the ball all the time? Because every time Bolly got it, it looked like he didn't have a clue what to do with it, and then that just piled more and more and more pressure on, and we looked like a schoolboy team at times. I thought
it was weird because I felt that Murillo was very good yesterday. I don't think anyone could say otherwise. I'm sure we'll come on to his heroic antics, keeping the score level for the period that his goal line block and whatever else. But his distribution was way off yesterday, way off. And there's no criticism of saying that because I mean you're right in the sense that Everton did try and make it difficult for him to release the ball, but he was still finding ways to ping passes up the pitch. The difference was, or the issue was, they were finding blue shirts every time. Like they were way off. They were like in some cases they'd be 10, 15 meters away from his intended target. So it wasn't so much a case of, I don't think it necessarily did a job on him or stopped him playing out from the back as such. It was more just his radar was not quite on yesterday. As for Bolly, I mean, the whole team just looked, I felt like I saw someone say after the game, I'm not, obviously still in a sort of debrief mode, aren't we? Really sort of look and see what everyone else is saying. And someone said that, why did we try and match Everton for a fist fight when we know what Sean Dyche is capable of? We know how they're set up. We know what they're going to do. We know what their strengths are. So why don't we try and actually... And to be fair, within 20 minutes, it looked like, why are we doing this? It's very obvious that we're going to get joy down the flanks. So, I at half time, honestly, I've massively digressed here, but at half time, I said to you at the grounds, I'd have taken off Yates, Woods, and Toffolo at that moment in time because all 3 of them were dreadful. The only person who could have, and to sum up Yates, I agree with Reiss, to be fair. Yates probably warranted his start. First 3 touches of the ball straight to the opposition within the first 5 minutes. It was like, great. What a way to set the tone for your game. Again, I know I won't forget what Luis Figo said once upon a time, how you can tell how you're going to play in a game by your first couple of touches. And when you see that, it's like, great. Well, we're going to get overrun then, aren't we? And but no, going back to the original point, I felt that I don't actually agree that they shut Moreau down too often. I just felt that his passing was off because he was still pinging, he was still beating his man, he was still weaving into space free from a blue shirt, and he was just hitting it into nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, my point was more that Bolly was getting the ball and didn't know what to do with it. And then Mangala was getting the ball, didn't know what to do with it. The lack of movement was so bad. And it was just
so passive yesterday.
It was just getting pinged aimlessly into channels or up to Chris Wood. I've never seen such a big man winning so little in the air. And he scored, and he's a good header of the ball because we've seen him score a couple of headers for us this season. And that's what really, really frustrated me. But Christian alluded to, obviously, Reiss, that Murillo's goal-saving clearance off the line was... Yeah, I mean, he's done it again. It's the second time he's done that this season where he's just managed to sprint back on the line, put his body there and stop a certain goal. But for me, there's a lack of reaction from the team in terms of whose fault it was. Why McNeil allowed the freedom of the City ground to even get through? Like, it made no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, well, it was a brilliant clearance from Murillo. I mean, I've just watched the highlights before we've started this pod, unfortunately, and Don Goodman hit the nail on the head, which is something you won't sell for him. It's as good as a goal stopping that for us, and he got a touch of luck because it hit the other side of the post, didn't it, rather than the one where it would have ricocheted back into the goal. So that was a warning. The other chance where the goalkeeper come out, who was also very poor last night. I mean, I could have probably dragged nearly all of them off at half time. To be honest, I think Christian's been a bit mild there because the first half performance was abysmal. You know, the goalkeeper come out not strong enough, dropped the ball, and thankfully they've got a striker better up front who couldn't hit a barn door last night and he shanked it over the bar. You know, there was just warnings, and Everton should have been ahead at half time. We was vastly lucky. We all spoke at half time in the ground. We was vastly lucky to be in at 0-0 at half time, and you kind of think in your mind, right, give them a kick up the backside. Let's come out second half. Let's start again. We're at 0-0. You know, let's try and win the game. And there was just nothing second half, Ozzy, as well. It was really, really poor last night.
I mean, one positive that was that Felipe has made a return and he come on at half time, but
The only positive.
He was a walking red card from the start. It
Yeah,
seemed
but
like,
to be fair, mate, and I get you. I do get you. But at least the bloke got stuck in. You know what I mean? We need to get this. That was a type of game last night. It was a cold night against two. Let's have it right. Poor sides. They got stuck in. They worked hard. They outworked us. They outmuscled us, and they got a result on the base stat and a bit of quality. It was a great finish from McNeil. At least Felipe come on and got stuck in, and that was the only positive last night. Him coming back because you get him in the team because he's clearly one of our better centre halves.
I mean, like I was saying to the lad next to me, I was like, have you seen anyone put a tackle in this? Like, is it like a real cruncher, like a proper Sunday morning kind of, or League One, League Two kind of, just nail someone sort of thing, and that kind of always sets a tone because Everton were just winning absolutely everything in midfield. Christian, I mean, I can't not mention James Garner because he absolutely ran it last night for Everton. I mean, the people who are saying that, oh yeah, he wouldn't get into our midfield, get into even our squad, they don't know anything about football.
Yeah, I would agree. Garner was brilliant yesterday, and it was sort of like half proud moment, half sort of wincing in pain because like we all knew James Garner could become like a very good Premier League midfielder. Obviously, I alluded to it in our preview as well with Jay, who really came on from the Paddock Blues podcast, and like I said, like, you know, we all could see James Garner was going to go very, very far in football. Like, he did the calmness he brings to the midfields. Like, as you said itself, it was a fight. It was a fist fight, and you know they absolutely battered us. But they did it so calmly, and that's because of the aura that Garner brings. Garner does bring an element of calmness to any midfield. He's just very, you know, isn't phased regardless. He just, you know, he could be blood and thunder, and he'll still be finding a way to sort of just, you know, keep things calm and ticking over. He was really good yesterday, Garner. There was one bit where he weaved past two Forest players and then pinged the ball in. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, what have we let go? Like, United will forever have done their hands for me for the way they handled that transfer. And oh my God, I pray for their demise so much because it should have been Jimmy Garner in a Forest shirt and he should have been doing that for us. But alas.
I mean, there is something that would have papered over the cracks had we got it. I do want an opinion from you both, but I'll start with you, Reiss. Is the penalty shout, Decore and Yates? I mean, it was borderline GBH, but I don't think we would have deserved it in terms of, like, I mean, you get your own look in, you make your own look in football, but how have we got those two decisions last week for and against us against Brighton, but that one, which is probably worse than both incidences last week, not get given?
Because it's against Everton, is one with what's happened with them. So there was never ever going to give it what they'd see as a subjective decision because the referee didn't give it to us. They just wouldn't because of what they've gone through. So, you know, the Premier League corrupt and all that. It was a penalty all day, every day of the week. I mean, I watched the analysis with Jamie Redknapp, and he was like, Decore's starting position's all wrong. He's not even looking at the ball. He was just looking to Paul Yates down. He pulled him down. Should have been a penalty. But I'd expect nothing less off poor Tierney, who again was terrible. You know, it summed him up that he couldn't wait to trot over to book Alan Tate. And yet when Pickford's booting the ball out of play, completely wasting time, what does he do? He trots over just to lecture him and lets him carry on doing it for the rest of the night. But yeah, it would have kind of got us out of jail, Adam, I agree. But it was a penalty. And unfortunately, it's not been given.
Yeah. I mean, Christian, I mean, even after they score and before that, I don't think Pickford really made a save, did he? Other than the Murillo chance, maybe. But we were so bad in front of goal. But thoughts
about a penalty or thoughts about Pickford?
Everything.
Penalty, yeah. It's nailed on. I agree with you completely. I actually put it on Twitter. I said that, like, you know, it would have massively papered over the cracks had that been given. And to be honest, I wouldn't have put it past us to miss it, given how we played last night. But
Pickford's good at saving penalties as well.
Yeah, there's no way that shouldn't have been given. And the fact they didn't even look at it as well was really bizarre. Like, or if they did look at it, it was very brief because everyone was sort of sat looking at the ref and he's sort of going,
they did look at it and they said it wasn't enough of a pull to give a penalty. Right, that's what they said.
He tried to take a chunk out of him.
I agree.
That'll be an apology.
That'll be an apology. Yeah.
And that'll be, you know, and here we go around the circus again. It's not the technology; it's the absolute utter clowns using it who literally couldn't be fit to run anything. Like we were talking, like we said, I'm sick of this every week now. Like there's the same conversations, the same clowns, the same idiots, the same, like, how stupid do you have to be to not look at that and think, oh, you know, that's not a penalty. Like, give over. Like, what is the state of English football? Mike Riley should be put in prison for what he's done to this sport. Honestly, he's absolutely ruined it with PGMOL. Like, we talk about VAR being this hindrance to referees. It isn't a hindrance. It's the people using the technology because they can't do it. It's all boys' club. It's all, you know, there's no hierarchy or anything like that. It's all literally, oh, you know, my mate's made a bad decision. We'll back him up on it. We won't overturn it. We won't show accountability. Nothing like that at all. Until that system is ripped out and started again, it's going to continue to be an absolute travesty for the English game. Fans, you know, we can say this every week. It'll probably bail us out. It bails out against Brentford, didn't it? When Matt Turner volleyed, was it Wisser into Upper Bridgeford and got away with it?
Yeah, it was Wisser.
Like, you know, the incompetence this season is absolutely staggering. As for Pickford, I mean, I felt that, to be fair, Everton, he lived a little bit of a charmed life at times. Like, it's all well and good saying that, yeah, we were poor. Alanga flashed one just past the post in the first half. That was very unlucky in the volley. He curled one just past the other post in the second half. Again, very unlucky. Pickford completely rooted. So, you know, like Reiss said, you make your own luck in football. And, you know, we were terrible. Had we played better, maybe another day, those two both nestled in the bottom corner. And it's sort of like, Price got to get their just desserts. But that wasn't yesterday. Yesterday was absolutely diabolical. And that refereeing decision summed it up.
The second curler, I just kind of thought he theatrically dived for that Pickford. The one bit of credit I will give him, because, you know, I'm a massive England fan, as people who know the podcast. I love Pickford for England. What was a brilliant bit of goalkeeping was where we got it to the Alanga on the left. He was straight out and blocked him straight away before Alanga could get it out his feet. Brilliant bit of goalkeeping. That saved them, because if he wanted to come out there and Alanga had got it under control and hit the target, we probably would have scored.
I think as well, when he came out, like, flying out for the corner, and obviously Yates still got there first, but the fact that he was in that position, it was just going straight at him. Had he stayed in his line, there's a good chance Yates would have scored that.
I know he's eccentric and there is people who don't like him, but he is a leader in goal for me, Pickford. I do enjoy him. Every time a shot is on his goal, he goes absolutely ballistic, which I do absolutely love. Even if it's like from 40 yards out, he's like kicking off at some defender, like, why have I had to do something? But yeah, it was an easy night's work for him. I bet it was freezing cold in his little goalkeeper.
He may as well be sat there making daisy chains for most of that half. Like,
the fact he's getting away with wearing short socks as a goalkeeper is a crime against anyone in football. But, you know, we do need to talk about the goal a little bit, I guess, because it is a cracking finish from Dwight McNeil. I will not take anything away from him. I thought he was actually really good for Everton. I thought he looked like a threat nearly every single time for them, especially because he take up space in the middle of the pitch and kind of like Sergio Aurier didn't know what to do, whether to go or not with him. But the marking for me is abysmal from Sergio Aurier. The fact that he's allowed to take the touchdown and volley that in the top corner is a bit of a joke to me, because you look out, like we just mentioned about Pickford not allowing that and Everton defenders and midfielders closing us down pretty quick at any given moment. But it's some finish, isn't it, Reiss?
Yeah, it's a great finish. You can't take it away from him. I mean, it's one of them finishes where once you're controlled and it kind of comes on the half volley, you just say to yourself in your head, hit the target. That's all you got to do. Just hit the target, try and make the keeper work, because they're very easy to just either shank over the crossbar or completely scuff. So, yeah, I mean, it came from, I mean, Mangala headed it out wide, they put it back in, and then it's literally gone through the whole penalty. I think it bounced a couple of times, hasn't it? And he's come to McNeil, and like I've just said, he's kept it down and then some, because he's hit the top corner. I don't think there's any chance for the keeper, and it's a great strike. You have to tip your hat to him, and that was the only bit of quality really on the night, to be honest, and that's what separated us both. But as I said earlier, when you work harder and are stronger over the 90 minutes, you make your own luck, and Everton deserved that for me.
Yeah,
it was lucky it wasn't more than 1-0.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Christian, not much really happened after that, because I even thought this a bit against Brighton to an extent. We just lack so many ideas when we chase a game. I don't understand what we're trying to do. It's very, I don't know how to really kind of put this into words. It's just very like plump together almost, and kind of like, let's just hope something will happen. For me, there's no pattern of play. There's no evidence that we're trying to carve a team open when we're trying to chase a game. I don't know what you think.
I would agree with that. I know obviously Hudson-Odoi coming on helped. I thought he again looked a bright spark when he came on, to try and get things moving, made some good passes, etc. But we don't seem to have many ideas. I think it seems that without a Wani in the team, we have no idea how to play football, especially in attacking phases. And I don't think I've tried to always be sort of like objective with Chris Wood and sort of say, we're not playing to his strengths and this sort of thing, which has been true, especially last season. He was a disgrace yesterday, a disgrace to the shirt yesterday. He was so bad, and he's offered nothing. Like Reiss touched upon earlier, Braithwaite gobbled him up every single time. Tarkowski the same. It was pointless putting crosses in, and yet, we like you say, Adam, we had no ideas. We were putting crosses in, and it was like, well, why are we doing that? Why aren't we working it? Because it's very obvious those two centre halves are going to win every single cross. Every single time that ball comes in, bang, clear, bang, clear. Wood's nowhere near it. So why don't you try something different? Why don't you try and get someone on an overlap like Toffolo or Aurier? Why don't you try and cut it back across goal? Why don't you try and get in behind them? Try and make the defenders turn. None of that. And to be fair, even if we had done that, would have even been moving enough to be in a position to get on the end of it anyway. So, and I couldn't believe how he played 90 minutes. He should have been hooked at halftime, or at the very latest after an hour for Origi. Giving Origi 10 minutes was a joke. Absolute joke. And this is where it does come down to Cooper, because when you make decisions like that, it's on your back. Like we said last season, help yourself. Don't make stupid decisions like that. Bringing Origi on and going to a three at the back with what? Was it Toffolo and I can't remember. Was Aurier on the pitch at that point? Yeah, I think he was.
It was Aurier, Felipe, Murillo at the back.
Yeah.
Was it? Yeah. It was just like, for what cause? It was just so dumb. And yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not massively sold on Origi yet. I still think that he was quite poor last week against Brighton. I felt like his touch was really bad. But it's very clear we need a more fluid, athletic striker. And we have one there. He's just not playing. And then when he does play, he plays in little bits and bursts. It's not enough to make an impression. Like, this man has notoriously scored a lot of goals against Everton, albeit in a very successful Liverpool side. But it's like, when you've got, as a striker, you're playing against a team that you've got a lot of confidence in scoring against, they're naturally going to be more up for it. It just happens. Like, I remember when we played, was it MK Dons when Britt came back and Britt scored? Do you remember? With the black for
black and gold kit.
Yeah. I remember him saying after the game, like, you know what, I've scored at this ground before a few times. I know it's my first game back in 9 months, but I felt really confident I would score. That's because that sense of familiarity, doesn't matter what the opponent is, you adapt to your surroundings, it's fine. Origi sees that blue shirt and thinks goals, and he comes on for 10 minutes and does absolutely nothing. So I think he touched the ball. It was ridiculous.
Barely a couple of times.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it was,
the attacking movement is a serious concern. And to be honest, like we said now, like I'm not at this point, I still want it to work for Cooper. But if the trigger was pulled, you can't really defend it. You can't defend that performance yesterday. It was deplorable.
I must add as well that the crossing last night was abysmal.
Dreadful.
I generally can't think of one good ball we put in. I mean, you know, I said in my opening statement, Wood was really poor. I can't remember us putting one ball on his head. I know he's got to move, and
He
that
wouldn't have won it
sometimes,
anyway.
but
Like we cleared up the
sometimes he was
pitch
in.
to him. He's got his back to like he's holding off the defender. He's
Yeah.
still not winning the ball. Even if it's his
But-
chest, he's still not winning the ball.
Like sometimes he was in the box. They didn't put one ball. The amount of times they didn't beat the first man, it got headed at. The crossing was terrible.
Like, I just don't get
think
if you're going to play a team who
against
succeeds
Everton,
so
yeah.
good in the air, don't pull it in the sky. Put it across the ground, get in behind them and cut it back. They're going to gobble it up every single time.
The thing is that the two times where we have got to the byline and we've drilled it back across, we scored against Aston Villa through Aina, we scored at West Ham through Elanga, and then we seem to stop doing that. You know, get to the byline, drill it back, get one of your midfielders coming in on it, or Elanga if he's coming in off the left. Like you guys just said, just a lack of ideas. Just completely ran out of ideas last night.
The only time that actually happened was, I think, Toffolo played one over the top for Gibbs White and he cut it back to Yates. And to be fair, James Garner put in an absolute sensational tackle in, and that was the only time. But even then, I wasn't sure if Yates was going to hit the target or anything.
Not good enough. Not good enough for the Prem. They said about Garner, wasn't it? Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. There was only one cross yesterday. Actually, I remember some sort of level that did find its way through, and it was the one where Elanga put it past the post. But the reason it even fell to Elanga in the first place is because Yates fresh aired the header.
Yeah,
he was 6 yards out,
I
he was against Brighton. Should score, misses the ball completely.
Then the other one that I can think of is the Toffolo corner where Yates got pulled down. I think that was a good ball. In the end, Felipe hit the post in the end.
So you look at two balls in 90 minutes.
I wonder how many crosses we put in last night.
It was at least 30. It's a joke, absolute joke.
I before we get into some slept on it thoughts and a few other bits and bobs, I did have a few stats for you, which was quite alarming in all honesty, because we actually played more long balls than Everton last night, and I thought they're just a long ball team. They played 73 and they only hit 26 out of that's a 36% success rate, whereas we played 81 and had a 44% success rate with 36. So that tells you a lot. They gave the ball away a lot more than us. They gave away the ball 199 times. We gave it away 180. I mean, it did seem like every second touch was the ball getting turned over in possession, to be honest. It was quite bad. If you want to know...
you gave the ball away 200 times. That can't be right, surely.
Well, it says possession loss, so I guess it's in joules and stuff. But we actually were better in terms of crossing. We actually made 4 out of 27. They made none out of 27. We were better in duels. The only thing that they actually beat us in was aerial duels 1, and that was the key one, really.
It was just
and the scoreline,
yeah. Like I said, it was two poor side. Everton weren't good last night. They just outworked us.
Yeah, which is a typical Dyche team.
Yeah, and they had one bit of quality.
Yeah, that's it. But before we get into other stuff, we'll do some slept on it thoughts.
Red side of the Trent. Slept on it thoughts.
So, Dave, fickle people calling for Cooper's head again. My question is, who's better? Who's going to get the results? I don't want to see a merry-go-round manager come in. It simply won't work. It's Cooper for me. Ash Young, Steve Cooper dragged this football club to the Premier League, kicking and screaming. He's a United fan. He's got a United fan base, giving fans pride and brought so much joy to a city. Seeing the abuse director tore hit by some is horrid. With you to the end, Coops. Donna Jordan, really sorry for all the hard work done by Forza Garibaldi and the volunteers, only for Mulligan not to be played, which is the cue for the display. Poor performance on and off the pitch today, Forest, unfortunately. Matt Robson, really poor today, worrying for Cooper, a far cry from the Villa performance, very static in and around the box. Murillo showed his class again, but we couldn't string it together in the middle of the park. Massive 3 weeks ahead. Koikai, Havertz, negatives, everything that was awful. We are not creating anything. We must play to Wood's strengths to get more crosses into the box, but we are looking like a relegation side. We're not crossing the ball full stop in any accuracy, so that don't help. Crypto Bex looks like many of the players are being held back. Murillo finally ran at the opposition and shot. He hasn't done that since his mistake. James G. Everton wanted it more, and Garner walks into our midfield, left ourselves short up top. With Taiwo's injury record, and it's showing. Cooper needs to pull a rabbit out the hat for a result as the tactics aren't working. It's awful to watch. Sam, dead man walking, I sense. Players look lost, crowd silent, booing at the end. Cooper blames a potential penalty decision, which he put in brackets, get real, Steve. Desperately sad as I love the bloke. D minor, the Tantor guy has one job, surely. The second week didn't pick up Cooper coming out as a drowned out. And yep, absolutely ruined Forza Garibaldi hold work. Should have driven us on and ended up a damp squib. Slick Rick, no plan, can't build any sort of sustained pressure. Long balls to an absolute useless striker who offers nothing. Manager got to be accountable for this, and I think it's time now. Last couple, Psycho is back. Negatives, too static, no creativity, no ideas. Without a 1-year, we look toothless. Positives, Murillo. And it was great to see the Godfather back in defence alongside him. And Sam, try not to swear for you on this one. From the first to last minute, we were dreadful. Second to everything all over the pitch. James Garner absolutely bossed the midfield and probably made Marinakis regret not throwing his wallet at Man United to try and buy him. Cooper, lucky to keep his job after that, as much as I love the bloke and all he's done. Can't see the ownership being happy with him at all. 1 win in 10 is not good enough, especially with the signings made in the summer. So yeah, I do want to get your thoughts on, obviously, the end. There was a fair few boos. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I was part of that because I thought it was so bad. I mean, why would I not voice my displeasure at what I saw for 90 minutes in the freezing cold? It was absolutely.
Before we get on to I want to add a little ray of sunshine. That Godfather reference and that Septiminute Thoughts is absolute gold. So thank you for putting that in. That is very, very funny. It's cheered me a lot up. So thank you for that.
Like we said, that was the only positive. Felipe coming back. You know, he was one who was willing to fight last night. I love Felipe. Yeah. It's a shame he's not 5 years younger, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. A bit. Hopefully he'll be available for Wednesday, but we'll soon see because it's a short turnaround. But yeah, the performance last night was absolutely gutless. I mean, I was so annoyed. I mean, I'm trying not to swear. I mean, I spoke to one of my mates afterwards, and he goes, "Good luck not swearing on the pod tomorrow." And I was like, "I'll try my best." My head's not as fallen off as it was last night, but it's still pretty bad. But what did you guys make of the reaction last night? Was it justified? How are you feeling about Cooper and what's happening right now? Because last season we got told by Witch from the County Road Bobblers last season on the pod that you're only 3 games from a crisis, and 3 games on the bounce we've lost. And people are saying, yeah, they were tight against Brighton and West Ham, who are both teams in Europe, but at the end of the day, you've got a loss in the column. It doesn't matter how well you played because you're still losing games.
Yeah, the reaction was justified last night. I do enjoy these people who text into Radio Nottingham saying they've never ever booed in their life before, but they booed last night. Like, come on, you have booed. These people who make out the nicest people on earth, they would have booed in the past. It was justified because people's paid good money. It was absolutely freezing last night, and they were served up that it just simply wasn't good enough. And, it's not about entitlement or anything like that. It's about, giving a performance for the fans. And the players didn't do enough last night. I'm sorry. In regards to Cooper, I mean, I've come off Twitter because it's a cesspit, to be honest. I've decided to come off it for a bit. I think some of the comments towards fans who are backing Cooper of kind of mocking him because they're standing by a guy who's, for a generation of fans, has brought him success. He's a messiah to him. I think some of the comments are a disgrace, to be honest. I've said on this podcast before, I'm never going to show the bloke disrespect in terms of shouting him out. If you want to change a manager, I get it. 1 win in 10 is not good enough. But there's just ways of wanting to change a manager rather than abusing the bloke who's given us so much. And at the end of the day, it's up to, if the chairman or whoever makes a decision, as a football fan, you have to accept it and you move on quickly because that's football. But, after last night, I'm concerned for him because, that was a damaging loss. He needs a win this week. We've said, haven't we, between us in his group, and that he needs a win this week. He's going to have to pluck some out of the hat at Fulham or Wolves, because if we don't get a win this week, I really do worry for him. I don't enjoy the leaks to the media as well. I mean, I'd never enjoyed that he's clearly been leaked from somebody at the club. If he's under pressure, tell him internally. The media does not need to know about it, because the media in this country twists things. It puts more pressure on. But after that performance last night, the pressure's on even more. The only second positive about last night is we've kind of got this championship turnaround this week. On Wednesday night, we've got a game. So we need to go to Fulham and we need to put on a performance and get result. Out the next two, you need to be looking at winning one of them games, because if we don't, it will then be 1 win in 12. You're then looking at having back-to-back home games again against, with respect to Spurs, as good as they've been this season, injury ravished. So that is a chance, especially if a new manager came in, and then Bournemouth who are down at the bottom with us, which is a massive game. So we'll see. By this time next week, I think we'll see. We've said that, haven't we, between us? But that is a performance last night. With respect, that gets you the sack. The players have let him down. The players, he's not helped himself. We've just said that on the pod, but the players have let him down and the fans down last night, and they deserved it. It was justified, the booze at the end.
I mean, you mentioned an injury ravaged Spurs. We played a Palace and a Brighton side that were ravaged by injuries, and we were absolutely.
Yeah, but
Palace, we were decent, but we got to
realise as well, we're missing his top scorer. I'm being proved right in this, and I'll, I don't care if people think I'm up my own arse by saying I'm right. I am right, because Tyro's his most important player. We haven't won without him. We're not half the team without him. We saw that last night because we offered nothing going forward. And then as well against Brighton, we had his record signing out. So we've got injury problems as well. Everybody's got injury problems. It's just that because it's teams who are in Europe or talked about more on TalkSport, it's an absolute crisis. So, I'll let Christian have a little rant.
Christian,
another one, I agree. The performance was justified. I booed at the end. Again, obviously, like you said, it isn't about entitlement. If I make a 7-hour round trip and I get served up that, I'm going to boo. I don't care what people think. That was atrocious. That was, like I said earlier, that was as bad as it was. That was the worst I've seen a Forest side play since that Stoke game. And after that Stoke game, I thought this manager's like a dead man walking. I feel the same about Cooper now. I don't want him to be sacked. Like Reiss, I won't call for him to be sacked, but I don't see him plucking a rabbit out of the hat the next two fixtures. I really hope I'm wrong. But I think this time next week, we're saying hello to Julen Lopetegui, personally. That's what I think is going to happen. Whether it does happen or not remains to be seen. And that's an entirely different discussion. But I would not, honestly, when me and my dad were driving back last night, he said to me, if you're the manager now, what do you do? And again, obviously, still like you, Adam, head pretty much fallen off. I said, I'd be straight on the phone to Lopetegui saying, do you want the job next week? First thing I was asked for, because that's unacceptable. It's not even about what we've spent. It's not even about anything. It's about looking at 11 players or 14, 15, 16 players on a football pitch, and you look at them and say, have they tried? Have they worked? Have they put in a performance that you can look at and be proud of? And the answer is no. And you might get like that happen every now and again, and it might lead to less disastrous consequences, example. But when it's on a run of 1 win in 10, when it's 3 losses in a row, when it's like that, when it's a night under the lights where against a side that we really have a really competitive chance against, we put in a performance of that nature with no ideas going forwards. We're bullied in midfields. We're making defensive errors all over the place. We've got a keeper who, as much as I've defended, looked very shaky, especially in the first half. And it's just a disgrace, really, isn't it? Like, it's just very, very, very poor. They deserved being booed. It was completely justified. And I worry for Cooper. I won't call for him to be sacked. I don't, because I really want it to work for him. I really want him to go next week and prove me and everyone else wrong, win 2 games in a bounce and go, right, okay, we're back now, found a way of us winning. And then, we hit what we want to achieve. He stays at the helm. Like in an ideal world, an ideal scenario, we do keep Steve Cooper, we keep progressing as a football club, we remain happy as a fan base, and we push forward. Unfortunately, we don't live in an ideal world, and I think the writing's firm on the wall for him personally. But we'll see.
I mean the last few weeks, which has annoyed me, is we found a midfield three in Dominguez, Sangare, and Mangala, and albeit Sangare's been ill, unfortunately, and Dominguez had a bit of a howler against West Ham with the mistake he made, but generally them three together have been really, really good. And then suddenly that kind of been split apart. And I mean, Cooper had the chance to play that yesterday, I believe. I think Dominguez was on the bench, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. So he's opted to go with Ryan Yates. Fair enough. People have been calling out for him. We thought Everton would be the game for him, but unfortunately, Ryan Yates was not up to standard yesterday. I mean, the times where I watched him receive the ball and he hadn't even checked over his shoulder whether he could turn out or simply just play a ball straight over the top into a channel for someone to run into, and he just passing backwards, and we just looked so scared every time we got the ball. We weren't passing into Morgan Gibbs-White's feet if we had the chance. It wasn't going into Sangare's feet to the chance. There was no pattern of play of making any triangles and actually having like a fluidity to our game. We just look so much devoid of any ideas, and that for me goes on not only on Cooper but the players too, because everyone knows how to play football. It is an easy game when you break it down. To be honest, for me, go on.
Sorry.
For me, I won't call for Cooper out because this is the first time I'm really seeing Premier League football in my life, and it's been an amazing journey, but as we've all alluded to, he is not helping himself at this moment in time. But does he go back to that style last season where we were difficult to beat? We play three at the back and we be a bit more tough, because at the moment we're leaking so many goals in where they're so avoidable, and not having anything going forward. Do we need to start actually let's just keep on the counter attack, because this possession style that he's trying to implement hasn't been working for us. It's not good.
He's got to find a way, as we've said. I mean, we keep churning this one out every bleeding week, but he's got to find a way to get Gibbs-White back central. He is wasted on the right. He was shocking last night. And I know we're digging out Ryan Yates a little bit here, so I'm going to give some balance. The goalkeeper, Aurier, Bolly, Toffolo, Mangala, Gibbs-White, Wood,
Elanga to an extent.
Elanga.
There was all bad.
The whole 11 was not good enough. I mean,
I'm not trying to single
out. Probably someone who I could say, because at least he was trying to be brave. Murillo.
I'm not trying to single out Ryan Yates. I think what in an ideal world, what we'd have all liked of him to have done is just if he's not going to pass the ball. I mean, I actually thought he won the ball back quite a fair few times in really good areas. I just really wanted him to smash someone and get the crowd going, put a captain's performance in terms of showing an example. But I thought I thought him and a lot of other players hid all game.
Too many cheap fouls from Yates. At least the only credit I'll give him is at least he was willing to hassle. But it's just so many. There's hassling and just giving cheap fouls away. There was a couple of times where he hassled really well, but there was so many cheap fouls. There was one in the first half which he did on the edge of his own box, which the referee didn't pick up, which summed up Paul Tierney's performance again.
Yeah.
But it just what the whole team. I'm not picking out individuals. There was some worse than others, as we've discussed, but the whole team was nowhere near good enough last night collectively as a team. And they've got to all look at each other in the mirror this morning and face to face and with the manager and accept it. It was not good enough last night.
Sorry. What I will say is for Cooper in his defence is that what doesn't help him is that, fair enough, you could say that Dominguez made a good claim to be dropped because he was poor at West Ham. He was poor at Brighton. Yates comes in and that's what he's repaid with. Okay, great. And there's a lot of fans that want to throw a lot of plot iron over Ryan Yates and defend him against the slightest amount of criticism. That first half was bad from Yates. Apart from that one tackle by their penalty area, he was bad. Okay, there's no getting away from that. And obviously, you see the same familiar sort of tropes, don't they? Okay, Yates has been poor. Who can we deflect onto? It was Sangare yesterday. Sangare was our best player for 45 minutes yesterday. The second half, he looked absolutely knackered and probably had to come off. As much as we questioned it at the time, saying why are we bringing our best player off? Because
He's
gone
had a
to
virus,
bits.
hasn't he?
Yeah, he'd gone to bits. You can see it in his touch. Like he was giving the ball away left, right, and centre second half. He just he should have come off at half time. Really, had we known that was going to happen. Obviously, we don't. But then you look at right back. Ola Aina was bad against Brighton. Probably warranted dropping, I would say. I was going as far as saying. Aurier comes in and performs like that. Oh, thanks for last season, Serge. Enjoy your time in Saudi. That's the first thing I'd be saying to him after that performance. Absolutely atrocious. Like, not only did he not try and close down McNeil, who, don't get me wrong, great strike. He'll never hit a ball that cleanly, that cleanly again in his life. He just stands in the Boss's way. He doesn't even go to him. He just stands still in the middle of straight in his eye line. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? That's the Aurier that Spurs fans warned us about last season. Like, it was really, really poor. So you look at Cooper, and fair enough, like he's making all these decisions based on form. And it's sort of like, you've been poor, you come out, you come in, and the players who are coming in aren't delivering. How many people can you say, apart from Toffolo, who's the only one? Can you say who's come in on the back of someone being poor and gone, you know what, you've done enough to keep the shirt?
Yeah.
For Colin Moss, I would say to a degree, because Turner can't be making those mistakes like at Everton, at Liverpool and Brentford, expect to get away with it. And touch words to date, he's not done anything anywhere near that bad. But apart from those two, and defence rotates every week. It seems like it was Murillo and Niakate last week. Now it's Murillo and Bolly, then it was Murillo and Felipe, and it was like there's so much uncertainty in chop and change, which to a degree I get, and it obviously works with your Man City where you have so many players at a high level. It's not working for us. Like I do think we need some level of continuity here because it's not really working at the minute, is it? So,
but to be fair, like the keeper got away with one last night, the one he dropped, because that was really poor. Like I said, thankfully it was better on the end of it. I thought it was Decore at the time, but it was better when I watched Ireland. I mean, he was terrible.
The reaction from Odysseus from that incident is like really bad as well, because you'd think like big keeper, like just come and take everyone out that's in front of you to come and get that ball, and it was so soft. It was. I thought what
he did after was fine because he could have really panicked and kind of gone and chased Beto for the ball, but he actually just stood, made himself big, and Beto thankfully shanked it over. But yeah, I get like the consistency. We've all kind of said that midfield three of Dominguez, Mangala, Sangare is pretty solid. Now, are you going to kind of break these things up because people's had one bad game every time? Because you'll be changing the team every bloody game. Like Christian just said,
that's what's happening.
You're getting different centre half pairings every single game. Aina has one bad game, you're putting Aurier back in. Aurier can't overlap. I've said this time and time again on this podcast. He's not a wing back, so you get no overlap at all. And if they double up on that side with McNeil, who does come back and double up, and Mikalenko, when like Hudson Odoi coming on, or Gibbs White, who's out there who isn't a winger, it's just isolated. Is this is what I mean with like Steve? Is he just trying to get something to work, and he's just overthinking it, and it's too much change, and you need a consistent team. I know, like we just spoke about Man City, they kind of swap their wingers about, don't they, because they've got the quality. But if you look through the spine of most successful sides, there's a good solid spine. When you're swapping centre halves every game, it's like,
but also them teams have a pattern of play. We watched Brighton last week, who were, they played Hinshelwood at left back because they had to, who's a centre mid, 18, and he knew his job role inside and out at left back. And that is just good coaching for me.
This is why
these are elite coaches. They know what they're doing. Brighton had a goal kick routine to get out from playing from the back. If you're going to press here, we'll pass it here, there. It gets switched and we're out. We haven't got that. We've got no.
This is where the naysayers have got a point, because they'll say, "Well, you lads here are sat here on this podcast saying defending Cooper." But then you're also saying on the flip side, how do we play? What's his patterns of play? What do we do if we're against 10 men? What do we do against a team who are bank up like Everton did last night once they went ahead? So, you can kind of see their reasoning of why to have a change of manager, because, they'll say, well, are these players being coached properly? Are these players improving?
We still haven't got a set piece coach, for God's sake.
You've got to, and at this level, we've said this, and the classic Mark Warburton for the bingo card, fine margins. This level is about the finest of fine margins. And you've got to get anything that can help you at this level. You've got to take it, because games are won by the finest of margins. Now, last night we all agreed, I think we all agreed that Everton deserved to win, but they won the game on one piece of quality, and it is a fine margin, really. And
but they could have easily been 2-3-0, and it wouldn't have flattered them.
But you've got to. We look at last season where we beat Leicester at home. Harvey Barnes missed, I think, 2 or 3 sitters before we scored. You've got to look at that as a team and think, oh, we've got away with one there. Let's take our chances. And we didn't. We didn't offer anything, did we?
Yeah. I mean, I know what you're saying about the naysayers, because they're going to say, "Oh, well, you're saying on this pod you're defending him, but also not defending him." I'm not defending him at the moment, really. Like the only reason
they're not saying, "Oh, you're not shouting him out," is what they're going to say.
I'm not shouting him out because of what he's done. I respect the bloke, but
that's my stance.
At this moment in time, if I'm the owner of Nottingham Forest Football Club, I am exploring my options. I'm sorry to say. That's how I feel at the moment. I am losing a lot.
Being explored without a doubt.
I am losing a lot of patience with him, because you can give the leeway for the first so many games, because you're right, we're going to try this new thing. We've brought in this midfielder from PSV who's given up Champions League football to come and play for a team who wants to
league title by lots of things as well.
Yeah, they're going to get through, aren't they, to knock out as well?
Yeah.
I mean.
And they're top of the league as well.
We've brought in Hudson-Odoi, who was on the cusp of going to Bayern Munich and had a big reputation. We've brought in a lot of good players, but we've not progressed. I can get it for the first so many games because it's teething problems. You're still trying to gel, but we're now nearly 15 games in, and I've not seen anything to warrant what we're trying. I don't even get it. I don't get a pattern of play, what we're trying to do. It's just very, very hit and hope a lot of the time, unfortunately. And like you say, Reiss, it doesn't help that Gibbs White's playing so out of position, because he's the one that you want to get on the ball more than anyone.
He's your connection from the centre mids to the attack, because what he does, Gibbs White, is he gets the ball off the central midfield. He then drives at that back line. As a winger, your job is to try and beat men. Gibbs White's job as a central attacking mid is he drives at that back line and pushes them back, and then you strikers will peel away, and that's where you've got to make that defence split and pass. As a winger, it's a totally different job. You're looking to beat a man, usually with pace or trickery, and then cross the ball in. And we've proved yesterday we can't cross. It's terrible crossing.
Anything to add, Christian?
It's just painful, isn't it? It's just really, really painful. I think, like I said, we've touched upon it, but I'm not going to call for Seakeeper's heads, and whether that makes me a hypocrite or not, for the fact that I've said that I wouldn't be surprised if the owner was looking elsewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if the owner was banging down the door for Lopetegui. I wouldn't be surprised if the owner was doing X, Y, Z. It doesn't matter, because ultimately, all this is null and void anyway if we go and beat Fulham and Wolves next week. If we do that, and suddenly, Forest from mid-table, what was all the fuss about?
Yeah,
that's the nature of football.
Football is such a fickle game as well, isn't it? Because you can turn it around so quickly.
I'm praying we do. I just can't see it on that performance yesterday.
No, me neither. He'll be gone this time next week. I don't take any pleasure in saying that, but I don't see us taking 1 point next week, let alone.
Yeah. Well, every time I watch Wolves, I've watched them a few times and have lost this season. I watched them the other night. They always give a performance. Wolves, I'll give them the gym. They look a decent side, and if they play, I'd usually do against us next week on that performance yesterday, then
we'll get crucified. Yeah.
I mean, the other guy's been mentioned, and to the Eintracht Frankfurt ex-coach who won the Europa League with him, he's been mentioned. So,
well, you've got your shortlist is probably Lopetegui. I know you don't like him, Reiss, but his track record speaks for itself. He's a good manager. Graham Potter is out of work, and this Glasnow don't really know that much about. But I mean, I'm looking at someone like Mikel from Girona, who's taken La Liga by storm. Would he ever come? I don't know. Kieran McKenna's doing brilliant stuff at Ipswich. There's plenty of options out there. It's just depends on what's happening. But
let me just clarify on Lopetegui. If they appointed Lopetegui as a football fan, you have to accept the decision. You move on. There isn't going to be this nonsense I've seen on Twitter of, I'm going to protest if they get rid of Cooper. As a football fan, you accept it and move on, and I'll be willing, if it is him, for the bloke to be a success. My only worry with him is I don't like his demeanour. I don't think he suits us. And what would worry me on the back of that is he might come in, he might get some great results, and then we're all happy. But if he doesn't if he comes in and he doesn't get these results, then I think it would turn toxic very quickly, and that is a worry. And I don't want the club to go back to how it was when O'Neill was manager, where the fan base was completely divided and it was an absolute mess. Because it was horrible, toxic.
Whoever comes in to replace Cooper is going to get this. Like, he could be great.
He needs to hit the ground running.
It could be the ground running if that
happens.
As soon as you replace like a club icon, because that's what Cooper is. He's a club icon.
That's what I mean about like with Lopetegui.
Or not. Like this bloke is for many people, especially for our generation, the one underneath it. This guy's given us something that 20 odd managers couldn't do, including miracle men, including like cult heroes like Stuart Pearce, etc. Like, all of these managers, like proven Premier League managers like Alex McLeish and Steve McLaren, all of them left in Steve Cooper's rearview mirror. So whoever comes in to replace him is going to have a very, very difficult job because they need to get results immediately. Whoever does come in, if that of course happens, because it's the same with anywhere. I mean, take United. This is a very extreme example. Look at United when Moyes came in. They started stuttering immediately. It was like, this isn't how it should be. And it'll be the same whoever comes in after us. It'll be like, look, we've had a relatively good run of success. We've lost a lot of games in the Premier League compared to what we like in the league below. But we've generally had more good results than bad. So, if we're not getting those decent results, the pressure will be on immediately. I mean, obviously, what the club. I mean, we've had it ourselves as far as before. Obviously, when when Clough left and Frank Clark came in and obviously got us promoted and took us into Europe. So it can be done. But whoever comes in is going to have a very, very big job on their hands because the first thing and foremost will be sorting out the fans because there's going to be a lot of discontent. A lot of discontent with Zach Cooper. There'll be a lot of people who will be like, I'm not going to watch the club again. And then 5 games later come flogging back when we're winning games again or whatever else.
At the end of the day, as much as I love Steve Cooper, you're a Nottingham Forest fan. At the end of the day, you support the club.
Exactly.
No one is ever bigger than the club. Whatever success they've brought to Nottingham Forest, and you even include the great man Brian Clough in this, they're not bigger than the football club as much as they're icons and legends of the club. As well, just to add with Steve Cooper, you never ever in our lifetime, I'd be vastly surprised if you ever get a connection with a manager like that again for what he's done for the club, what he's done for the city. You look at, how he is. I know for a fact he loves the Forza displays. I was speaking with the lads with Forza yesterday, and he loves when they do a display. You look at his relationship with Lee Ward. You look at his relationship with the, Ian Coates' family, who obviously sadly got killed in the city. And there'll be so many more what he's done, Steve Cooper. And that's where I kind of say about Lopetegui. Yeah, I can't argue against his CV. He's probably proved he's a good manager. Well, not probably has, but in Spain with respect. You're just not going to get that relationship with him, and that's why I'm saying if they don't, this is for any manager, not just Lopetegui. If this was to happen, Cooper was to go, they don't hit the ground running, it will turn toxic very quick, and that's what worries for me. And you don't want us to get it dragged into a relegation battle against sides like Everton who are fighting. Burnley have now got a win where it might kick them up the arse. Luton are fighting, so yeah, we'll see. It's a pivotal week. We've said this all week in his chat. I think this time next Sunday will be clear what's happening.
Definitely, and obviously on that bombshell, we'll a little bit about Fulham. We'll do a review of Fulham as well. No previews this week because it's such a tight turnaround, and we've all got work and lives and stuff. So we'll get into Fulham.
Christian, no play performances.
No, because we went through. I think we went through 1 to 11 and said how bad they all were.
Yeah.
So, let's just push on.
Let's move on.
Fulham away at the Cottage. They've had their struggles this season with no Alexander Mitrovic this season. Obviously, there was talk about Marco Silva going to Saudi Arabia in the summer, and like Willian almost joining us, and etc. But
Paulinho added a medical into Willian.
Paulinho going to Bayern Munich potentially, but they're a team that I see as if we're on it, we can get a result. But at the moment, we're very much not on it. So, tough game, and our away record kind of speaks for itself. But so, Christian, what's your prediction for Fulham?
Well, stupidly, I'm going to the game. So,
home fixture for you.
It's
Yeah,
a good away.
punishment for it.
It's a good away day. Fulham is. It'll be good under the. I've not been under the.
Oh yeah,
lights,
I've been before. Yeah. Although what worries me is that the last time I went to Fulham, actually no, it wasn't the last time. It was the time before. The last time I went, we lost 2-0 with Karanka in charge. The time before, I went
where we had a completely new team.
The time before I went was it was just after we'd beaten Derby 2-1 with Pearce, and we felt that was his reprieve. And then we were 3-0 down inside 30 minutes. Yeah, and we were absolutely abject. And at that point, it was like, okay, that win just taken over.
And then it was the Millwall game, wasn't it? And that was it after.
It's absolutely had to go. So I'm praying that history isn't going to repeat itself, and I leave Craven Cottage at full time thinking he's done, because it's already out once before, isn't it? But no, I said to you before, I said to you in the week, I would rather we had Fulham first than Everton. So I actually felt we could get a result against Fulham. I don't think they're up to scratch at all. I don't think they're a particularly good footballing team. I think they're basically Paulinho and vibes at the minute. So if you can sort of work your way around that, there's a lot there to exploit. But the way we played on Saturday, we aren't going to beat anyone from any division anywhere. So basically, if we don't get a kick up the arse from yesterday's result, then we'll lose. And if we lose that, he's done. He'll be sacked. You have to edit that out. Sorry, but we got.
I love the panic in your voice, and that was great. Oh, sorry.
We got an hour in.
It was very remind me when Ron Atkinson chucked the headphones at the Sky Report after I ran. It was like, oh, sorry.
but yeah, like that. This is still or die from now, and so if those players really do care for him and they say they bake out, they do, then they're gonna have to prove it on Wednesday night.
Score prediction.
I don't want to say it. Head says 1-0 Fulham. Heart says 1-0 Forest. So mate, take that as a draw.
Yeah, Reiss.
I'm literally just got flash scores up here. I'm just looking at Fulham's kind of home form. I mean, aside from a stinker they've had against Brentford, they've probably beaten everyone at home they're expected to beat. They're beating Luton, they're beating Sheffield United, they're beating Wolves, which is one they might not have expected.
What I will say is they're very lucky to beat Luton.
Yeah,
and they're very lucky to beat
Wolves. Yeah.
So I'm not reading too much into that.
You just know William's going to score, isn't he? After obviously the palaver in the summer. I mean, it's hard to give a prediction, mate, after yesterday. I'm not going to lie. I mean, because there's not many positives, if any. I'm very much like Christian. Again, my head says Fulham will beat us because it's just going to be some turnaround from yesterday. I'm gonna say 3-2 to Fulham.
Blimey. I mean, it kind of almost stinks of that time last season where we just needed to get a result. We went to Brighton and just shut up shop and got a 0-0. And it's weird because it's not like
is a draw good enough though?
Yeah, well,
if we used to get 2 draws, say out the next 2 at Fulham and Wolves, is that good enough?
No, absolutely not.
That's 2 points from Wolves, Everton, and Fulham. No,
yeah.
It's not acceptable. He needs a win. He needs a win.
I totally agree.
The funny thing is compared to last season when we was getting absolutely battered everywhere we're going. This season, it's more often than not, it's just narrow margins. But the problem is we're still losing football games, so it doesn't really change a lot.
The thing is,
I went a lot of money.
I went to most batterings last season: West Ham, Leicester City, Arsenal. I went to all of them batterings, and generally yesterday was as bad as any of them. And we only lost 1-0 because the fight just wasn't there yesterday. And
you can lose games with fight and be outdone by quality, like we were in that City game, for example, like where your mistakes are ruthlessly punished.
By the best team in the world. Yeah,
or you can play like that yesterday. If we played like that yesterday in any of those games, it would be double figures in every game.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just like when you look at a team and say, this is what I said earlier about a performance that gets you the sack. That was a performance that gets managers sacked yesterday because the lack of fight, the lack of ideas, the lack of anything really.
Yeah, they were so slow on the ball. Even
in injury time, what was it? 4 minutes. I mean, I thought it'd be more than 4 minutes, but we were just passing it round at the back with a minute to go.
Yeah.
Get the big lads forward. Felipe, Murillo, Wood, as much as Origi, who's a big guy. Get it, just pump it in to the bottom. We were just dilly-dallying, passing it about, trying to get it wide, and Everton had banked up. They wasn't going to give us any space at all.
No.
You're just going to have to pump it into the box and hope, actually, we can pump one good long ball in for the first time in 94 minutes. But
It was incredibly easy.
Not enough. Christian's it and then the tempo, even when we went 1-0 down and chasing the game, it just wasn't there at all. And you must look from a board perspective and think, are these guys playing for the manager on that performance?
Yeah, I thought that as well. Like, it was a performance that's worthy of a sacking and almost downing tours. But Fulham away, I can't really see us doing anything. The performance will tell from the kickoff whether the players are fighting for the manager or not. For me personally, I can't see a result going our way. I think we'll lose probably 2-0 to Fulham, unfortunately, and I think it will be game over for Cooper. It's not me wanting him to go. I just think it's unfortunate. It might be coming to his time, but we'll find out on Wednesday, and we'll be back Thursday hopefully to give you a review and then a bit of a preview to the Wolves game. Quick turnaround this week. Obviously, it's a bit of a championship-esque schedule. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you everyone for the slept on it thoughts. Forrest, you're a sham for the bloody Forza display. Reiss is crying. Hopefully we're all proven wrong by this time on Thursday, and then going into
fingers crossed.
Going into the Wolves game.
Yeah.
We all sound really depressed like we're at a funeral.
Yeah, well, we are, and I feel bad. I don't want to be coming on this podcast and being negative. But what can you say after yesterday? I'm not going to gloss over anything and say, at least we had a couple of efforts.
I think
at least it was only 1-0.
Yeah.
I mean, even the most positive of fans can look at yesterday and think, "What a bloody hell's happened?"
Yeah, in fact, to be fair,
try and enjoy it as much as you can, everybody.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, I think even with another podcast that we who have very particularly positive guests, and even they were like, "Where do you take the positives from?" So
honestly,
it's a bit bleak, isn't it?
I would love to come on here. When is it? It'd be Thursday evening. We'll probably be doing it. I'd love to come on here and we'll beat Fulham.
Yeah,
so thinking then we're looking ahead to Wolves. That is the hope. So we'll see.
Brilliant. All right. Well, we'll see you. We'll see you on Thursday. Take care, everyone. Have a good week. Have a good week in the snow, obviously, as well. We'll see you in the next one. Come on, you Reds.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.